Hello, I am here to talk about my cancer journey. I was diagnosed in June of 2018. I remember that day. I found my lump, so I went to my primary care doctor, who then examined me and also felt what I felt. She then sent me over to a cancer breast center to get a mammogram. The mammogram did show something on there that they couldn't pinpoint if it was cancer or not. So then I had to come back and do a MRI biopsy where they stick a needle in your breast and pull out a small sample of tissue. And so from there, I had to wait for a few days to get the results, of course. I would say like maybe 3 or 4 days before the nurse called me. So I was given the option to get a phone call or go into the doctor to get the news. I chose to get a phone call. And so she proceeds to tell me that I have breast cancer. They think it's ductal carcinoma. So I really didn't know what that was. I had to look everything up. From there, my primary referred me to a oncologist surgeon who I have met before because I had a fibroid adenoma in my right breast. So it was basically a cyst, and she removed that cyst prior, like years prior. And so I was very familiar with this particular surgeon. So when I get to the surgeon office, she asks me, do I want to have kids eventually? I said yes. And then she takes notes. She walks me through like the size of the lump, what stage of cancer I'm at. So I was originally documented as stage 2B. But then that downgraded somewhere down the line to stage 1B. But in that, she referred me to UCSF Infertility Clinic. From there, from that appointment, I made the appointment to UCSF to see an infertility physician who then walks me through like what it means to preserve your eggs, which I was clueless about. So all this is like going really fast for me. This happened within like a week span. So they wanted me to preserve my eggs before I started treatment. And I'll talk about that in like another video. But in all of that, I will say within that week span, I did go back to work, which was crazy in a nutshell because as soon as I got to work, my manager instantly knew something was wrong with me. And then I had to, well, I didn't have to, but I was comfortable with this particular manager, and I told him what was going on. He understood. He told me to go home. So I worked from home pretty much from the time I told him till all of my treatments. So like I was working from home before the pandemic pretty much. So like I was used to working from home. Also, I was on like another team, so my job at the time required me to travel, and once treatment started, I was not able to travel. So I had asked some of my coworkers who on the team that I trusted to travel to the destinations that I would normally travel, but I would set up everything. So all they had to do was go there. Like everything else was like set up. But I couldn't travel. So that was very big of my team members to do. And And I am very grateful that I had that team and that manager at the particular time, because I don't think any other manager would have been that understanding. Another thing, I'm thankful that I was able to work from home, because I had to go to the cancer center where I spoke with the oncologist, not the oncologist surgeon, but the oncologist, who then basically gave me like a whole bunch of information. I had to go to an orientation for new cancer patients, which was a whole class in itself, because there was a whole bunch of people with different diagnoses of cancer within that orientation. They also within that orientation, they had like a nutritionist for like the cancer diet. Then they also had like some therapists for like group therapy or individual therapy, which I did not want. And the only reason why I didn't want it is because I had just been diagnosed with cancer. I wanted to like wrap my head around it and not be in a group of other people trying to figure out their diagnosis. So like I like to do things like let me digest it on my own. So that, in a nutshell, was the June diagnosis going into July. So July 2018 is when I go to the fertility specialist at UC San Francisco to discuss my egg retrieval process. There he walks me through like the whole process of the, where they like test you for your like follicles to see like all that like in your vaginal region to see if you're like if you have like enough eggs or can you produce enough eggs. And so like he gives me like all this medical history regarding like the female anatomy and how like we're born with like that many or so many eggs, and by the time like we get older like they start to like go down. And so like I have to do like a whole bunch of blood work. Luckily my insurance covered the egg retrieval process. The only thing I had to pay for was the storage fee, which is coming up. I did like a 5-year plan for like a storage fee because I'm going through cancer. Like I'm really not thinking about having kids. So during that process, I did 2 egg retrieval processes. So the first egg retrieval, I had to learn how to inject myself with all these medications to like ramp up the process. And then from there, he was like, the doctor said, I'm gonna try to get you 2 kids. So he wanted to do a second round. So I did the second round of egg retrieval process. He was able to get a total of 18 eggs, but I'm not quite sure how many are viable because I'm not at that stage yet where I'm trying to have kids. But the oncologist did let me know that it would be nice if I had like a surrogate instead of doing or getting pregnant myself due to me being HER2 positive. So I did finally found out my diagnosis of being HER2 positive. So I did that. My eggs are stored, so whenever I do eventually date or not date, I can have either go to a sperm bank or have like a somebody that I'm dating to have kids with. So that is another option. But all in all, the egg retrieval process is no joke. So when I see people talk about infertility treatments and going through IVF or IUI or surrogacy, like I understand that process. Just everyone goes through the cancer process differently. I just didn't really know how to, I guess, wrap my head around. I actually found my lump and now I'm being diagnosed. So like that was like something heavy to deal with. I did go down a rabbit hole eventually of watching like all these documentaries on cancer. There was like a TV show on the CW called My Last Days that I went down a rabbit hole in, and then HBO had like a documentary on alternative death or burials, which I went down a rabbit hole. My father at the was basically like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I think I'm gonna die," and he's like, "No, you're not." So, but you don't know. You don't know how you're going to react to chemo treatments or radiation. So at the time, my chemo plan, so everyone has a chemo plan, which is different, even though, let's say like somebody else is diagnosed with HER2 positive, they may have like a different treatment plan based on what the doctor feels. So my treatment plan, I know, is different from other people. We don't all have like the same treatment plan. So I thought being diagnosed was like a death sentence, sorry. But I didn't know. Like you can't foresee how you're going to react to treatment. And I did have some reactions to treatment. But we can talk about that later. But thank you for listening to me. Bye.